In this module, we're going to take a very quick look at QR codes, what they are, and how to use them to increase kinesthetic play and learning. Kinesthetic activity in play and learning has been a long research topic. Lev Vygotsky was a psychologist who looked at the importance of play. You'll see on the list there some different concepts behind play and teaching and learning environments, such as purposeful practice. It allows people to practice real life situations in a way where they're safe to fail. If they don't get it right, it doesn't matter. And you can also look at the fact that play isn't just found in children or adults, but also in other animals in nature, such as kittens, lions, tiger. It doesn't matter. Every animal pretty much has its own way of playing. So play is very important. And we're going to look now about what a QR code is, and why and how we might use it for teaching and learning. So let's start by looking at today's learners. There's Project Tomorrow. You should have been introduced to that in the last module, but it is an annual report done across the nation with hundreds of thousands of participants, and it surveys parents, administrators, and students alike. In 2013, so this is already 4-year-old data, they researched specifically smartphone usage in schools. And what they learned was that 80% of kids in high school, grades 9 through 12, have smartphones. And 45% of children in grades 3 through 5 have smartphones. And yet, if you look at just high school alone, only 69% of high school seniors are encouraged to use those devices to look at online resources. So while students have access 24/7 to technology, pretty much they're not being encouraged to use it in an educational environment. Now, quick response codes or QR codes are one of the ways that I've found to easily incorporate technology in teaching and learning. QR codes were created back in 1994. So this is a traditional barcode, and this is a QR code. Barcodes have information left to right. QR codes have information left to right and top to bottom. They were developed in order to help in the manufacturing process. They aided in tracking vehicles and parts. They were designed for fast decoding speeds, and hence they're called quick response codes. What we're going to do next is we're going to be watching a short video, and this video is going to explain in more detail about QR codes.
You've probably bought groceries and seen the cashier scan an item to get its price. It works because each product has a code that's a shortcut. It prevents the cashier from having to look up each item. Well, these days, new kinds of codes are appearing that are scannable with camera phones. And like a cashier scanner, they create shortcuts to all kinds of information. This is QR codes, explained by Common Craft. In our online world, everything is linked together. You visit a website and click a link to visit another site, send a message, view a photo, or download a video. A simple click makes everything possible. On the other hand, our physical world is what you see walking down the street. The problem is, nothing is clickable. You can't click a URL on a container to see recipes. You can't click a statue to read about it on Wikipedia. So, you end up having to type in a link, take notes, or just keep walking. But that's starting to change. You may have seen codes like these. They're called QR, or Quick Response Codes, and they mean your camera phone can now be a little like a cashier's scanner. Once you have a QR reader app on your smartphone, you can point your camera phone at these codes and immediately grab useful information. Let's say you're running errands and walk by a sign that says, "New show coming soon," and there's a QR code. You can just open your QR reader app, point your camera phone at the code, and the app will automatically give you options. No links to remember, no notes. Just point your phone at the QR code and the real world becomes clickable. But that's just the beginning. Imagine visiting a landmark and using a QR code to watch a video about it, or scanning a QR code in a newspaper or magazine to email a link to a friend, or scanning one to follow your local bakery on Twitter.
Okay, so that was QR codes explained by Common Craft. It should have been a very simple explanation for you to understand. So if we look at QR codes, what are the types of information you can include in it? Well, they can be plain text, everything from email addresses and websites to a link in Google Maps or an audio video file. But the trick is, other than plain text, the other information really has to be stored somewhere on the internet. So you could create a QR code that links to your avatar. So someone could scan that and it would activate it. You could upload your digital simile to YouTube and create a QR code linking to that as long as you have as long as you set it to be accessible by public, and then people could view it. So you can use these, you'll see them in programs for theatrical performances where they might have clips from rehearsals set up as a show. You'll see QR codes in magazines that link to products you can view and shop online. So QR codes are everywhere nowadays. Just start looking for them. So why QR codes? Well, it uses technology that almost everyone has. Everyone has a cell phone. You can download a free QR code reader. It takes a matter of minutes. It encourages the use of mobile devices, which once again, not everyone has a big desktop computer or a laptop or an iPad, but most people do have cell phones and most people do have smartphones nowadays. You can use it to get people out of their chairs, moving around. It saves paper. And one of the really interesting things is that there are students who struggle with typing. Sometimes there's a learning disability tied to that. And so it's hard for them to type in very long addresses without making errors. In fact, it is for most of us. So you don't have to rely on typing. You can just scan it and you have access. So I'm going to go over some different ways that you can use QR codes in teaching and learning. And then we're going to have you do a very short QR code project. So some ideas for using QR codes in activities. One of my favorites is scavenger hunts. I do this in my face-to-face class. I've also seen this done in at conferences where maybe there's a theme and the robots are taking over the world. So you scan the QR code to get a clue, and when you figure it out and end up at the next location, there's another clue. So you're going to solve a mystery. Homework help. There are a lot of teachers in elementary grades particular who will create short videos of them reading the instructions and doing a demonstration on a homework sheet. And then they place the QR code on that sheet. Students take it home and they can scan it at home to get help from their teacher. You can use it in music and art and chemistry. So for example, maybe you do a demonstration in an art class or you do a lab in chemistry. Use your cell phone to film that demonstration for the day and then upload it to YouTube. What you can do then is generate a QR code, slap it on a calendar in your classroom. Students who are absent or students who struggle with this specific concept can look at the calendar, scan the QR code, and then they have the demonstration on their cell phones. They can watch it repeatedly. So it allows you to do instruction over and over and over again for a student who is struggling with a concept. In music, imagine sitting down to learn to play a piece of music, for those of you who are musicians, and instead of just having the notes in front of you, you also have a recording of your part to the music, so you can listen to it while you read the music and learn to play it. There are so many things. One of the things I did work on with some people at Heron Fitness Center where we were starting to create instructional videos for the different pieces of equipment. I see people with bad form who don't know how to use gym equipment, and rather than asking someone who's knowledgeable for help, they'll ask their friends who don't know, or they'll just wing it. But all those people walk around with their cell phones in their hand and their headsets on listening to music. Why not have QR codes that they can simply scan, see a demonstration, listen to it? No one would even know. And then it would help save people from injuring themselves. So those are just some ideas. There's a handout, is the next link in D2L, and it has 30 some plus ideas for using QR codes. Here's a cute thing I found. It is the periodic table of elements done in video form. Every element is a QR code you scan, and there is a video to teach about that element. One person did performance art in Florida, and you scan the different parts to see how man-made chemicals affect the various human body parts. And the Tiffany Trenda in Miami, who was the artist who did this performance piece, said that one day I was noticing that QR codes are an interesting material because it functions as both embellishment and as a portal into data. During the performance, the audience is not so much interested in what the information actually is, but the act of engagement, of scanning, is what intrigues people. We as a culture are more addicted to the feel of information. We're curious. So what I'm going to do now is show you how to generate QR codes. Once again, please check out the handout. It has a ton of ideas for how to incorporate QR codes in educational settings. It also has instructions on how to generate QR codes and how to read them, and a list of different QR code generators and QR code readers. You will need one of these generators for this next project. You will also probably want to try to read some of your projects, check your QR codes, be sure they work from your cell phone if you have a smartphone. So you're going to want to download a reader as well. Until next time, have a great day.